let's face it, leads are the biggest problem in most agents' businesses. So what would you say if there was a way to generate 30 to 50 warm leads a month with $0 out of pocket? And they're not all just buyer leads, seller leads too. Today's guest is John Natale. He's a millennial who spent the first 15 years of his real estate journey completely off socials without buying into the idea of building a personal brand. Until 1 year ago, he went all in on TikTok, of all things, and has absolutely exploded. And now he gets 30 to 50 warm leads a month sliding right into his DMs. So here's what to expect to learn in today's show. Why TikTok over the other platforms? Exactly what to post. How often to post, sneaky tips on how to increase engagement, and stick around to the end for how to turn all of that intention into actual clients. You're listening to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast, the show for agents who've been around the block and are finally ready to build sustainable, scalable businesses. Learn the exact steps to build a business that runs like a machine, one you don't secretly hate or want to escape from. My name is Shelby Johnson. I am a former Army veteran turned real estate entrepreneur, and I've closed hundreds of transactions as a solo agent, team leader, and real estate investor. And I operate in Lexington, Kentucky. So do not hold back on those referrals. Send me anything you got at The Shelby Show on Instagram. But guys, for today, get ready to learn how to maximize TikTok, especially as a millennial. Rockstars, welcome John Natale. Okay, you have been in our industry for 16 years, since 2008, but it was only about a year ago that you decided to go all in on building a personal brand, and especially through TikTok. So, dude, why? What happened?
It's a long-winded answer. I'll try to keep it short. The reality is I personally feel without personal brands, let's start there, without a personal brand, within the next 5 to 7 years as a real estate agent, you'll be out of business. That's just clear to me. As someone who's been doing this 16 years, the agents that will be the most successful, maybe you'll still dabble, right? Maybe you'll be in the business, but the most successful agents will be the biggest personal brands 5 years, 7 years from now. Reason being is the next generations that are coming into their home buying years, millennials, Gen Z, the like, connect through everything they do through social media. So if you don't have one, you're going to be out of the marketplace for the biggest buyers and potentially soon sellers of the marketplace. And that's why I knew personal brand had to be it. From doing this for 16 years, I know that being a step ahead of the game is better than being behind. So when I saw the potential with TikTok, the second part is TikTok offered me the quickest route to get there. For me, I've had an individual agent business. I was running a team into the pandemic. We absolutely crushed it. I was making so much money, and not from like an egotistical standpoint, just I was doing so well for myself. We had a young son. I didn't really have to pay attention to social media. I was not one of those early innovators in 2020 that put up one TikTok or one Instagram reel and flew to, 100,000 followers. I knew I was going to have to grind at something, but TikTok offered me, at least when I was looking out, the best potential to get there quickest. And it just, if you've watched any of my content, anybody who's watching this right now or listening, if you've watched it, it fits my style the best. I am real. I like to look at a camera. I like to talk. I don't like all the frilly bullshit. I like to just talk. And so it fit me very well.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you about what you said about in the very beginning about how in the next 5 to 7 years, if you do not have a personal brand, how are you going to be successful? And like you said, there will be outliers for sure, but it's not even just from like a lead generation standpoint, but I feel like from a legitimacy standpoint where it's like, even if you are doing calls or you're doing mail or open houses or whatever, if you have a genuine connection with someone, literally the first thing they're going to do in this wave that's coming forward is like, oh, what's your Instagram handle or your TikTok or whatever? Like, I'm going to follow you. And if they go there, even if they have this amazing connection and you have, a very, very small audience or you're not active online, you went from this amazing impression that you created to, oh, wow. I mean, is that person even in real estate? Like, they can't be. That's not real. You know what I mean?
100%. It's the same thing. Like when you hear a friend says, hey, you should try this restaurant. You go and look up the Google reviews. If the Google reviews suck, you're not going to that restaurant, even if your friend told you.
Totally.
Same exact thing is going to happen. And it's happening right now in real estate. Like, what I didn't foresee is how quick this, like, I knew this was coming, but like how quick it is with everything that we've done, how fast it's been built out and how many people reach out. Like, I tell people every single day, I'm somewhere between 30 and 50 leads a month. So every day I have in my DMs, hey, John, love your videos. I want to do this. Looking to sell my house here, looking to buy this one. And we live in a really expensive part of the country. So people are getting that many leads that just want to work with you directly is life-changing.
Dude, 30 to 50 leads a month just off TikTok
Easily.
in your DMs?
Just to my personal brand.
Dude, that is crazy. And if you don't mind me asking, what generation are you?
Millennial.
You're millennial? Oh my God, me
Mid-millennial.
too. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because
I get told I look a lot older.
Okay, I wasn't going to say, no, just kidding. Just kidding. But the reason why I was asking is because I'm like, you are, clearly not 22. You're clearly not the average. When I think of TikTok, I still think like sweet, sweet baby child. And I'm a millennial too. Like, I'm 33. So I just have this thing in my mind. And so that's why when I was looking at you, I was like, oh, TikTok, you say. So why? Okay, you mentioned TikTok was the one who offered you the quickest route to get there. And that is because it's easy to blow up on TikTok. Is that right? I don't know anything about TikTok. Not really.
No, that's okay. So when I started last summer, when I looked out on Instagram, again, so I'm very similar. I'm a year older than you. So now we're all the cards are out about how old we are.
Yeah.
I get so many comments, so many negative comments, like, you're not 34, you look 53, you jerk off, whatever.
Wow.
But TikTok's a whole new realm. But when I looked out at TikTok, and this is, again, from me, like, not I'm better than anyone, but like when I saw how many followers certain people had and the type of content they were putting out and having success with, I knew if I brought my 16 years of experience, my love for our area, talking about all these great things, I knew if I just poured myself into it, I could do it better and I could grow there. So Instagram, I love Instagram. Everyone loves Instagram. However, was already kind of saturated, right? So you really have to, now I worked a crap ton on TikTok, but like, I just felt like the opportunity was there where the people I was competing against to have an audience, there was really no one. And I'm still like in my area. I tell people this all the time. This is one of the best potential. Maybe I'll convince you to go into TikTok. The best potential with TikTok is when you look out and you look in your area and say, how many big brands are there on this one platform? And almost everybody that I meet with, coach, talk to, even agents in my own market, they all look around and say, 0, maybe 1, maybe 2. And I go, there's an app. Like, if I told you there was an app, take the name away from it, that people of all generations use every single day. Boomers are on it, Gen X is on it, millennials are on it, Gen Z is on it. Everybody's on it every single day. And you were only competing for an audience with 2 other people. Would you not take that opportunity? And I think that's what really, like, if you're only, like, you don't have to be that good. But if you are good, you blow up really fast.
Okay, the devil's advocate in my brain is just always like chirping over here, And I've heard from guests past, they're like, the average, whatever it is, income of TikTokers is basically $2. Like, how, there's not serious buyers on there. And this person specifically was advocating for LinkedIn, which is another route that I haven't gone. But what do you say to that devil's advocate play?
I would show you our profit this year as our company has absolutely exploded. So and I put this in the form for you, I stepped out mostly out of production, right? So all these leads are really for the agents at our company. It's not necessarily for me to work them 100%. I massage them very quickly and then they move to our team, or really the agents at our company, because I own a brokerage. However, the amount of people that reach out, and again, how I've positioned myself is not necessarily just showing houses so I just get buyers, right? I'm getting a crap ton of listings. I just listed in the last month, I've listed 3 or 4 houses, all directly from TikTok. Like, hey, John, come over to my house. I don't care what commission you charge. I don't care anything. Just list it because you're the guy. So now that's not like, you just don't pop up on TikTok though, put up 3 videos and then have everyone in your area calling you. It is a crap ton of work. I've been at this for a year now. A year posting at least every day. So it's a lot of work, but I think that attitude too, and not yours, I'm not speaking ill of it. I'm just saying that attitude that like TikTok doesn't work is what kind of drives me to keep going harder and harder into it, because people don't want to do it. And then you keep the fact that there's still only me in our area blows my mind, that someone who's smarter than me, better looking than me, can do it better than me, hasn't dove in, is kind of shocking.
Dude, you're like perfect though. Stay away. And now they hear this podcast and it just blows up. No, just kidding. Okay. So now hypothetically I'm bought in, I hear you. I like the 30 to 50 leads, the fact that you have actual listing appointments and it's not just buyers. I love that it is, a blue ocean in a way that you don't have a lot of competition, all amazing things. And it's also a free platform. Everyone's on it, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm sold, John. So knowing what you know now, you have a year of experience in doing TikTok. You are successful in generating leads from it. If you were starting over today on TikTok, what would you do?
The exact same thing I'm doing now.
Okay.
I would show, and this is what we work with people across the country, agents at our company that are blowing up. I would show people houses. So walkthrough tours work. If you only show walkthrough tours though, and you don't talk about the area, you don't talk about your expertise, you don't talk about the properties you're selling, you don't story tell at all through other content, you're going to get mostly buyers. And that's okay. Buyers, at least in our area, again, very expensive part of New Jersey, buyers are typically sellers as well, right? If they're able to buy in this market, they're typically not a first-time home buyer. They're usually stepping down, or they're a millennial that bought a townhouse for $350 that's now worth $700, and now they can buy their $1.3 million house. However, past the walkthrough tours, though, you have to show off your area. So, like, the other thing, like, I get people yelling at me, screaming at me in the comments, DMs, not like that negatively. It's kind of, in jest or sarcastic, but like how upset they are, how much I blow up our area. So I get people that are like, stop talking how great Monmouth County is. We're full. No one else can fit here. You're blowing up our area. Not that no one knew about it. Everyone knew about it because everyone wants to live here. But, and so you have to love on your area, because then as a seller, right, they take pride that they've lived there for the last 20 years. So they see this guy talking about how great it is to live there. Yeah, perhaps maybe I'm changing their mind and making them want to stay a little bit. But when they go to sell, they want somebody who knows the area, shows off houses, is entertaining as hell, and is like them. So you have to talk about your area. You have to be the local expert. And then I think the other thing that I do that draws in the mass audience, I think it's so important that people do this if they want to actually have success, is I do very top of funnel stuff. So I talk about the housing market. I talk about how high interest rates are, how effed it all is for millennials and Gen Z. I don't shy away from the really hard topics of our housing market, and I put my opinion out there. And that creates a response. And a lot of people don't like that response that comes with that, level of putting yourself out there. But there's a beauty in what I do, and that's exactly what I would do if I was starting today. I would not shy away from the hard topics of our housing market. I would love on our area and show people some damn houses.
Okay. So, and you also mentioned earlier that you posted every day. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So if you were starting over today, you would commit to posting every single day on one of these three topics, whether it be home tours, whether it be highlighting, showcasing the local area, being that local expert, and then also giving information on the housing market. And within those three categories, you would also ensure that you are storytelling. So that way it's entertaining. It's not just bare bone information, and you're showcasing your personality, and you are putting your opinions out there, which like you said, it is not everyone wants to do it, because it is hard. First of all, it's challenging to take a stand, especially when you can justify probably a bunch of different opinions. But it is when you take a stand that is so appealing to people, because they either love it, they're like, dude, you get me, you're now my person, or they have the opposite effect, which creates probably friction and comments and engagement, and the algorithm just eats it up. Did I get it? What did I miss?
100%.
Okay.
No, that's it. You get a lot of hate, you get a lot of love. But ultimately what I care about is the business that comes from it. So I don't say stupid stuff,
right,
just to say stupid stuff. I say what I feel, because there is an art to that too, like, mispronouncing things or putting like text wrong on the screen, just so people are like, smart ass and like, you spelt this wrong, or you said Highway 480 when's Route 480, stupid stuff like that. But I don't say erroneous things just to get a response. However, I'm very comfortable putting out my opinion. And I think that comes with 16 years of doing this, seeing all different markets, seeing the battles that, again, I'm not 100% phased out of production. I try to sell one house a month, so I know exactly what the challenges are. But I see it. Like, I just took a listing, a small, cheap listing. We had 50 showings on it, 10 offers. It was not overpriced, but the last comp I think was like 380 and we priced it at 420. So it wasn't like we underpriced this thing. And every single one is a young couple trying to buy their first house. And, we have massive, especially here in New Jersey. I know it's not the case across the country. Some markets are starting to correct. But we have massive issues here in terms of inventory and supply, and it's bad. So talking about those things resonates with people who live here.
Okay, with that, now that we kind of talked about you're posting once a day on those specific topics, I want to take a step back. And as you were coming into this, or if you were coming into this today, how concerned would you be about target audience? Because I know a lot of people you already mentioned that you get buyers and sellers from this. Are you particular about only doing home tours in a certain area or a certain price point, so that way you only attract that people interested in that? Or what kind of strategy is behind the scene in regard to target audience, if any?
I think there is, and this is something I work with a lot of agents across the country. It really depends on where you are and what you want to be doing. So if you want to be, say luxury in your market is $1 million to $2 million, and you want to be in that market, you shouldn't be showing a $250,000 condo. Like, to be honest, you should be 100% owned in on, even if it's a little less content in the walkthrough tours, because there's not as many of them to show through. But I would be diving into those, and I would be talking about the issues of the people that are in your target demo. However, I'll also peel back that I think sometimes people take that a little too far in that advice. Like, again, I'm generating, all different. I've sold directly from TikTok, 1.3 million, $1 million, and I got a 650 listing. I don't really talk about certain price points, and I don't only show certain price points. So that's probably why there's a gambit. But if I was really just trying to gear towards like a $3-4 million, which is like our luxury price point, I probably would only show those houses, right? If you sell luxury yachts, or, if anyone's seen the guy on TikTok that does, I forget what his handle is, but all he does is sell jets. Part of it's just entertainment, right? But at the same time, like, his target audience, he's not worried about me. I'm not buying a jet, right? I don't have $100 million when he's going through the numbers of them. But his audience does, like the ultimate end user, right? So he's talking to them, but he's using all people like us, per se, to get those people. So you have to kind of talk to everyone, but also know where your audience is.
Okay. So there is some strategy as you're thinking ahead of time before you just start jumping in, because that's kind of my next question. It's like, it's so simple to be asking you like, oh, what do you do? Like, oh, walkthrough tours, local area, talk about expertise. It's like, okay, great. And then we get off the call, and then hypothetically an agent is like looking at their phone and they're like, oh shit, what do I actually do? So can you talk a little bit about the planning that it takes? Like, how much preparation are you scripting? Like, just behind the scenes of like actually tactively, getting started on TikTok.
I absolutely love this conversation so far. So because this is what I'm all about, is the actual, and if you've seen me, anybody who's watching this or listening to this, if you've seen me, and especially if you see me on TikTok on my agent facing side, again, we can talk about this too. I have 2 accounts. On the agent facing side, I love getting tactical about exactly what you need to do rather than the fluffy BS, right?
Totally. Also, so drop your handle. What is it? Tell the people.
Yes. So on Instagram and TikTok, I have two handles. Agent, if you're a real estate agent, which is most people listening, it's at John C. Natale. The consumer-facing side, so if you want to see how I actually do these things, it's at the John Natale on both Instagram and TikTok. And YouTube is John C. Natale as well. So on walkthrough tours, how these work and how they work best, and this is what I tell people. If you could be in them, so if you could have a friend, a coworker, anybody, a kid, if you got kids old enough, you can pay them, let them work for you. If you could have someone film you do a walkthrough tour as if you're showing a buyer, and while you're doing that, also be entertaining as hell and ask really engaging questions, you will have a massive response. So that is, you have the door, you're at the front door, you have the pan come across to you walking up to the camera, and you can go watch my videos to see how I do this. And you say a really great hook about the house. It could be anything. You could say the house is ugly as shit. People would actually probably love it. If you have a seller, though, they probably won't. So just be careful with that. You talk about, the houses you're going through, but on the tactical side, one of the brilliant things we do is you don't just say, like we're saying to the buyer, like, this is your kitchen or these are quartz counters. You say, there's a sink in the island. What do you guys think about that? I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it. So that when you start pivoting the questions back to the audience and become a host per se, my Lord, especially on TikTok, somewhat on YouTube, somewhat on Instagram, they absolutely eat that stuff up. They love offering their opinion. They love being like, I would never put a kitchen in my island. What a moron that person is. That house will never sell for that price. I would never put those cabinets in. If it doesn't have 42-inch cabinets, you're poor. Like, they love offering this great advice on the internet. So you play into that. So you ask really engaging questions, and these should be, like, how long does it take you to walk through a house? It should be somewhere, if it's a 2,000 square foot house, it should be 4 to 7, 8 minutes. Like, this is going to be a longer video. However, we've seen time and time again that these absolutely work. And if you do it that way, you will have success. So that's the walkthrough tour.
Okay.
The local stuff, if you want.
I have questions on the first one. I have to, yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is my millennial, probably not even millennial, just like off TikTok is showing that you can do 4 to 8 minute videos on TikTok. I thought they were 60-second max, like short little things. How long is the max video you can do on TikTok?
60 minutes now, believe it or not.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay. Mind blown. So with that, when you do these videos, are you doing them normal speed or are you speeding them up? Like doing 1.25 or 2 times speed during sections?
Normal.
What are you doing?
Normal. 100% normal.
Okay. Gotcha.
You would never, I don't I'll be honest, Shelby, I don't really get it. Like, I don't get how it's that entertaining to people that they watch it. But when you really break it down, like, people watch House Hunters, right? Like, and that's boring as shit. Like, it's really not that entertaining. They go see 3 houses, they name them different things, they go to lunch and they buy a house. Why do people watch that? I don't know. But they love seeing houses. So now, again, if you're boring, if you're not engaging, if you're just like walking through the house, and I'm nothing special to look at, especially if you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere on video. But if you look extremely poor and you're not engaging, you probably won't have success with it. But if you are engaging and you do this, you have an iPhone. Like, we do this all from our iPhone, guys. Everything I do, I have an editor for my own podcast and stuff like that, but I don't have an editor that edits all this stuff. When you film it that way too, so you have someone film it and you're walking through, there is no editing. You literally just pop it up on each platform, put the captions in, and you're good to go. So it really removes the time. Now, depending where you are, we are, our inventory here in New Jersey, our part is down about 80 to 90% of what it used to be 5 years ago. So finding houses to film is our problem. If we don't have any new construction around us, but if I was in an area where they're building new houses, I would be there every damn day, or at least 1 or 2 days a week, film as many models as I possibly can, go to as many vacant houses as I could, film those houses, and have, tons and tons of content to put out there. Because it can be up to 60 minutes. That's a little too long, but.
Okay. Wow. You mentioned it briefly. So you mentioned you don't really edit. You're just, someone's filming it, you're walking through, you add on the captions. So that way, if people aren't listening to the audio, they can still read and follow along. You hit on repurposing. I don't think you said that word, but basically, are you repurposing? Are you putting this on like Facebook and like, I don't think you can do it on Instagram. Damn. Or like YouTube, or is it just TikTok?
So I do it on Instagram. What stinks about Instagram, and I'll be honest, this is the one, probably why I haven't had as much growth there, is when you're on Instagram, you could post up to, I believe, 15 minutes now, but not as a reel. It has to be a post. Your post only goes to your followers, and it really has very limited virality, where a reel can go viral, right? So because of that, that's where it doesn't really fit in. However, what we've done recently is put the first 90 seconds as a reel and put the first pinned comment as view full video on TikTok at your handle. It's our best attempt. We've seen other massive, like people that are not even really real estate agents, but massive like home tour creators that have videos that are over a minute and a half. That's what they've been doing. So we kind of just ripped that off and started duplicating it.
Okay. Yeah. Love an R&D All day, every day. Okay. I think I'm good with the home tours. I guess my last question is, are you doing anything special with captions or hashtags or freaking collaborations or whatever else TikTok has? Clearly, I don't know.
No. TikTok captions right in the middle of the screen works every time. The more broken down it is typically the better. I think that's, again, back to the beginning of why TikTok for me, it's a very real platform once you really dive into it, and that just fits myself and my brand.
Do you do any music? Like lo-fi over the back, really low? No.
So some people do.
Okay.
Some people I work with do. I don't, because the biggest reason why, I'll be honest, Shelby, is when the whole Taylor Swift, Drake, or whatever that album, the record company pulled all their music from TikTok. If I did a walkthrough tour and I was talking the whole time and I put like a Taylor Swift song all the way down at the bottom, right? Not even like volume up, just on there, they removed the audio from my talking. So again, TikTok isn't 100% evergreen like YouTube, but I have plenty of videos, like plenty of viral videos that went viral last November, December. I have one from March that's almost 1 million views. These things still get a bunch of people every day. So if you were to lose the audio on a video, especially on TikTok, like you'd be screwed.
Yeah. And you had to use Taylor Swift as an example because you know that I'm a Swiftie, don't you? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I know you don't know that, but I am. I was going to move on to local expert. I got one more question before I do. You mentioned people still finding your content now that you posted a while ago. So is TikTok a search engine? Like, can you just, like, are people searching for this or is it getting fed to them? Do you know?
100%. So long answer short, when you're on TikTok, when your video is doing well, you will see the bar at the top. It's like a search bar, and you will see a category there if your video is doing well. And once you start going viral a lot, you'll see typically whatever you're trying to talk about. So like if you went onto TikTok and you Google, let's just be using the term, but if you search for Monmouth County, which is the county in which I live, you'll see Alex Earl, if you know who Alex Earl is. She's from Monmouth County, so you'll see one of her videos, and then you'll probably see 6 or 7 that I put up. So again, we're not there yet where people are like searching to move to Monmouth County on TikTok, but if we were, like whenever anybody searches like real estate broker near me, Monmouth County, anything like that, I come up a crap ton.
So at this, like when you post them, are you tagging a location? Because right now, I think we just threw it up there. We had captions. You're not doing any special hashtags, I don't think. So like, how are they finding this?
Usually, so the best SEO, and the reason I put the captions on TikTok and even Instagram directly too, is because that's how those platforms actually are doing the SEO. They're using their own captions.
Gotcha.
So as long as you're talking about a certain subject and you have the captions on, that's usually how. Now, I said there's no special hashtag strategy, but I still obviously put hashtags on there, but there's nothing I do that's unique. Like if the video is about Monmouth County, I'll put hashtag Monmouth County. Nothing really crazy about it.
Okay, gotcha. So it's the fact that you were using those words within your video, and then when you post it, you have the captions, which ties into the algorithm uses whatever you were speaking about in the video to pull up when people search. Okay, that's a really good point for us potential newbies in this realm, because it's like, oh, you can't just, don't graze over that. Make sure you're using the keywords that you want to be found if someone is searching within your spoken word in the video. Making a note for myself. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah. Local expert. Hit me with how do you do the local expert stuff?
It's kind of endless nowadays. But very similar to Instagram. There's so many different ways you can do it. My biggest ways that work really well is like my most viral ones. Again, TikTok is very hook heavy. I mean, Reels are too. Like you have to have a good hook, either between scenery, how you look, what you say, all of it matters. But especially on TikTok, people's attention span is about 3/4 of a second, if that. So one of my best videos about Monmouth County is, and it was just from just like not to say gut feeling, but Monmouth County had just become the most expensive county in New Jersey. And I said, there is a county in New Jersey that will not only be the most expensive here, it will also be one of the most expensive on the entire East Coast. So again, I didn't say what county, I didn't tag what county. And then the second line is where I dove into why Monmouth County would be. And then I think it was like a 5-minute video about everything that the county has going on and why it's become so expensive and why it will. But you can talk about why your area is so great. kind of follow that video. I don't care where you live. Say Shelby County is in Texas, and you can say, hey, there's a county in Texas that will be the best place to live in all of Texas within 10 years, right? There's ways to obviously just love on it. Now, how most people do it, which I think is really smart, is to highlight what's going on in the area. Great places to eat, great coffee shops, the best parks. You could do that by going to the park, doing B-roll footage. You can go to come with me now. Hi, it's Shelby. Come with me now to the best coffee shop I go to. You can do your top 5 coffee shops in a talking head style video. It is endless. You can do photo posts now. It's really however you want to build it out. And I think that's kind of sometimes what overwhelms people. If I was going to start somewhere, what I tell people is get on the screen, kind of like I'm looking at you now, and just say, here are Shelby's top 5 coffee shops in X area. And then green screen those babies right behind you and say, first up is Batch. Second up is this one. Third up, and then obviously explain, maybe say what your favorite drink at each is. That's the easiest way to do it. And you'll never believe how many people get engaged with that stuff, start sharing it, and you blow up really fast with that type of content.
Yeah, I totally feel what you're saying about how it's endless and it's easy to get overwhelmed. Because I talk to agents all the time. And one of the things that I hear most is that how overwhelmed they are with all of the opportunity and all of the possibility, not even just in TikTok, but in general, like where do you focus? But even if we were in this singular platform, TikTok, in this singular category, local area, it's still, like you said, so many freaking options and so many freaking different ways to do everything, because they'll check out your page, but then they'll check out, someone else who's on the podcast or their other podcasts that they listen to or whatever. And then just be like, well, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? And then they end up doing nothing.
Analysis paralysis.
Totally. Okay. So I think, something they could do if they are in analysis paralysis is don't look at all of the other people's pages. Like just go to yours hypothetically, or pick their one favorite and then stop looking at everyone else's, and just until you get in the rhythm of posting consistently, I think I just said rhythm. I can't remember. I black out. But basically build the reps until they're confident in actually creating the content. And then at that point, once they are in a really good place, then they can broaden their horizons and take on more different ideas and play with it. What do you think? What do you think about that, John?
I 100% agree. And that was actually what I was going to say. If you asked me that one further question, which you just did, I would absolutely look, and I tell people this all the time, stop trying to recreate the wheel. Rip off and duplicate. We already talked about it. R&D. Look at certain creators that are having success and say, oh, I can do that. That's the first part, right? Like you have to be able to do it, right? Like someone might have a really great presentation. You must be like, yeah, that's awesome. But they're spending $60,000 a year for someone to follow them around with a camera or have a videographer team and all this other stuff. Find the thing that works for you and what your budget allows, especially if you have no budget. Someone like me would be a great follow, I think, because I don't spend any money on it. And there's a lot of other top creators, especially on TikTok, that have very minimal budgets because you don't need it. It actually works against you there. The prettier it is, the worse it is. The more broken down it is, the better. So go look out, see who you really like, say, okay, I think I can figure this out. Also, don't hesitate from DMing someone. Like one of the first things I did is I looked at some of these other creators and I was like, how do they do that? And I would just, not always, I would try to figure it out myself, but if I couldn't, I would just reach out to them and say, hey man, love all your stuff. I've been doing real estate for a while. Like I'm trying to grow on social. How did you figure that out? And most people, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, just like I'm on this podcast after you asked me to come on, are going to jump at helping, right? None of us are monsters. None of us are. And if you meet that person that is an a-hole, then okay, I don't want to follow their content because they kind of suck, but go in and ask for help. Every single person that's figured this out is figured it out either on themselves or with help themselves. So don't be shy about doing that as well.
Okay, I think this is my last TikTok related question. So if I were starting over again today, like let's not make this about me. If you were starting over again today, or an agent who you were coaching was starting from the ground up, would you have them do multiple marketing strategies, multiple lead generation, or would you say focus 100% on TikTok and just go like balls to the wall? What would you say to them?
Are they a brand new agent or an agent that has business moving in a personal brand direction?
I don't know, John. What do you choose? Choose your own adventure.
We could We can do both. Let's answer for both. Say you're an agent with 5 years, 10 years experience. You have a good amount of business, but you know personal brand is the future, right? You do not stop doing what you're doing that makes you successful and just pivot 100% to TikTok. I think that'd be a mistake because it takes time to build out, right? Social media is a new, different way of a billboard per se. Like no one puts up a billboard and then gets a call tomorrow. There's a strategy. No one does a radio ad and gets a call tomorrow. It's part of an overarching strategy. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you shouldn't, if you're prospecting every day and getting 5 listing appointments a week from calling FSBOs, you add a personal brand on top of that to become an attraction magnet. So one day maybe you don't have to make those calls, right? If you're a brand new agent, I think you make it a big part of your strategy because there's no faster way to grow, in my opinion, to get from a business from zero to somewhere. And there's no, again, because you're only competing against 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 people in your market. If you can out-entertain them, people don't really care if you have 16 years experience. If there was someone who was better at creating content in my market than me, they would get a hell of a lot more business than me. Even if they were a brand new agent, even if they've sold 3 houses in their life. And that's, to really wheel this back to the beginning of the conversation, that's one of the biggest powers, especially of TikTok or of just having a personal brand. I tell people this all the time. Do you know who Mr. Beast is, Shelby?
Of course I do. Yes.
Okay. Would you agree with me if Mr. Beast got his real estate license tomorrow? I think he'd be within the top 10 agents in the country by the end of next year.
Oh, he would destroy. Absolutely destroy.
And that's the power of a personal brand, right? And name any content creator or influencer out there. Alex Earl, if she got her license, I don't know if she lives here in New Jersey anymore, but if she got her license, I tell people she would outsell me, our company, every other company around here within 6 months. Even if she didn't know a lick about real estate. And that should do all the convincing you probably need to have a personal brand.
Totally.
But that's why I'd probably spend, if I was a new agent, 66% of my time on building that out. But I'd also dive into open houses. I'd dive into prospecting. I'd dive into my sphere. I would not just say 100% social media. Mm-hmm. However, you can actually outrank people pretty quick. I coach a lot of people that are very, very successful. But they look out. They've been doing this a long time. And they look out and they say, this young guy, he's 28 years old. He just got into business last year. He has 15 of the 40 listings. How did he do it? And I look at his Instagram and he's got 27,000 followers. And I look at his TikTok, he's got 87,000 followers. That's how he did it. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter to people. Again, especially the people to come, the millennials and Gen Z, it's the exact opposite. Like they really will, they weigh so much heavier to the social following you have than your actual expertise. And we can all argue, as someone who's been doing this 16 years, I feel like I know a lot about this industry and how it works. But that's just the truth. The more personable, the better entertainer you are, the better you are creating content, is the better you will be as a real estate agent.
I agree. Best known beats best every time. Signed, Grant Cardone. Okay, 100%. John, we have to pivot real quick. We're going to talk about your tool that you brought our listeners, which is amazing. I'm looking at it right now. Will you share what tool you brought for us? So I made a video about this about a month ago. I wouldn't say it went viral, but I had so many people reaching out for it, so I thought it'd be perfect to drop in here. We have for all of our clients and the agents at our company, I built out our entire home sale process and home buying process down to documents in which to send the sellers and or buyers as they walk through. So one of my most popular always, especially in a market now where across the country you might be correcting, maybe home values are coming down, maybe houses aren't selling like they are here in New Jersey, and you're having that maybe for the first time in 5 years, that conversation with the seller, like, hey, I know we priced it at $325, but we've only gotten 6 people through the door and we haven't sold yet. We probably need to reduce the price. And rather than you telling the people that, it's a lot better for that information to come up front and from another source. So through my 16 years, I measured all these statistics, and they're pretty widely available, but I kind of narrowed them down. And if you look at the sheet, it's a reading the market flyer that I send every single seller the day they list that says, hey, ideally in a world, we sell this weekend and we get 50 offers and everything runs. However, if we get to 14 days on the market, here's exactly how we
interpret what the market is telling us. Again, it's not John telling them it is the market telling the sellers how much they are overpriced. And it goes from 10 to 7 to 5 to 3.5% too high, depending on how much showings and activity and offers you have. And right next to it is a great example of why you don't want to reduce too little. If you are in a depreciating market, so, our friends down in Florida, where property values across a lot of the state are coming down. If your market is depreciating and you cut by too little, you are going to step down. The market's going to keep going away from you. You're going to step down again. It's going to keep going away. Where if you just cut it the right amount the first time, you would have saved yourself time and also earned more money. So those two things together in visual form, rather than even like me explaining this right now to you, which could be confusing, makes it a hell of a lot easier for sellers to say, oh, market's telling us we're 7% too high. We're going to drop it 20,000. Boom, you drop it to 299 from 325. You get sold right away.
And if you want the visual, go to realestaterockstarsnetwork.com, go to the toolbox, and you can download your own copy of this Reading the Market sheet, which I'm looking at right now. And it's very helpful because, John, you're totally right. There are markets across the country that are slow. Like it has shifted for them. And I just had a question the other day actually about, hey, the home was listed on the market at this price. It's been on the market for this amount of days. This is how many showings. Like, what should I do? Like, what recommendation should I do? And the cool thing about this sheet is that you have it bulleted out where it's like no showings, no activity equals this based on your 16 years of experience, which I think is very helpful and will probably be very helpful for listeners, especially as we continue to head into the unknown of this real estate landscape that's kind of free and wild out there. So thank you very much. And now, John, could you share with our listeners what you have that you mentioned coaching. What are you up to that they might want to be a part of? Where can they find you? Like, hit us with all that.
The overarching Natale brand is really three companies. We have our Natale Realtors brand here in New Jersey. So if you are an agent here in New Jersey and you want some broker support and you like what I had to say today, you can absolutely reach out to me about joining our company. We are for high producing agents, also new agents that want to become high producing agents. So it's not just about recruiting this ex agent. It's about agents that want to grow their personal brands, explode on social media, earn income in many different ways, and do it here in New Jersey. That's number one. Number two is Natale Coaching. So I coach agents across the country. I started that about 7-8 months ago, and we're already at 40 agents across the country in our coaching program. And that's absolutely exploded way past whatever my expectations ever were for it. So if you watch any of my content, all the information is there as well. We coach you on your personal brand. Again, you could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in New Jersey. And we've had insane success helping people absolutely blow up, earn money, like I said, for the realtors, earn money in several different ways. That's the greatest potential with a personal brand. And then also about to launch is our Natale Media Company, where we come in, we help business owners do essentially what I've done and what a lot of the agents that I coach across the country have done. Blow up on social media, take on a lot of their website, all that stuff. We post for them. We take on the entire brunt of it for a business owner. So we have three companies all under that Natale brand.
Perfect. And of course, we'll have all of your links, websites, social medias, everything in the show notes. But just remind our listeners one more time, the best place for them to go if they want to connect with you or find out more information.
If you're a real estate agent, the best place is either Instagram or TikTok at John C. Natale.
So easy. Love it. And guys, you know the drill. If you want to hang out with me and the owner of the show, we are The Shelby Show and Aaron Imajistegi on Instagram. Maybe TikTok coming soon, but I also say that after every person I talk, I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So staying focused over here. But John, I loved it. This was very insightful, very informative. Loved all of it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And Real Estate Rockstars, thanks for listening.